So I have updated your modules. Your semester project module is going to be here in your module page. Now, I just published this about 5 minutes ago. So if you've been logged in since then, you might want to just refresh your browser, and your semester project module should come up. Everything that you need is in this semester project module. Okay. If there's something that comes up that is not in your semester project module that you feel like you need, please let me know and I'll make sure I get that added. Okay. So I like to introduce this project after we've after we've done chapters 3 and chapters 4, because in chapter 4 we talk about pricing out our menu items based on those external factors like price value relationship, our competitors, the market itself. But then also kind of trying to figure out, like, what does the overall recipes, what all those recipes come together, those standardized recipes come together and to create a menu set. And so what does that menu set actually sell for? Okay. Now, believe it or not, we have two restaurants. So when this project was created, we actually only had one restaurant in the old building. But in the old building, we used to sell lunch for $9 and dinner for $12. Okay. We now sell lunch if it's downstairs in 1898, we sell it for $15 for a three-course meal. And upstairs lunch in Artemisia's is served at $18.98, so basically $20 for a four-course meal. Okay. Still, that's very inexpensive. I had a meeting today, and one of my colleagues in a different department, she said she had dinner here on Friday night as part of the capstone class. And because they use a bit higher proteins, usually seafood, beef, things like that, they tend to have higher price points. So they actually sell the dinner for either $25 or $30 per person. But she was still very happy to pay $25 per person for a four-course meal as a Valentine's Day dinner. So $50 total, when some restaurants were charging anywhere from 75. Are you guys done? Okay, you're gonna pay attention?
Yeah, you're talking about the project, 25 per person.
No, I understand that, but you laughing and joking and talking, like making eye contact back and forth, doesn't really demonstrate to me that you're paying attention. Okay? All right. So we as a school, because you all pay tuition, because we have other fees that are collected, because we are also not looking to make a profit. We're basically just looking to cover the cost of our expenses, right? So because of that, we don't have to charge what a normal restaurant outside of the industry would charge. Okay. But it got me thinking about, if we were out in the industry, we wanted to utilize the different topics that we talk about using food cost percentage, or even using those different menu category price markups that we talked about in chapter 4. What would the price of this menu set of 4 courses, what would we actually sell this for? Okay. And so that's kind of the history behind where this project came about. And so during this project, you are going to cost out all the recipes within the menu set. Okay. Then you are going to figure out what your total costs are for the entire menu set for one portion. Okay. Following that, you're going to do two different methods. The first method, you're going to apply just a flat 30% food cost to everything. Okay. The second method, you're going to use those different category percentages to determine then, is there a difference in the selling price from just doing flat 30%? Or if we do break up the categories into different percentages, do we have a different a different menu selling price? Okay. The biggest bulk of this project is going to be costing out the recipes. The rest of the stuff kind of just happens relatively quickly towards the end of the semester. Okay. After that, you're going to put your whole project together, which there's a video and an outline for that. And then you're going to answer these 5 questions essentially at the end after you've cost out all your recipes, applied your food cost percentages, and then determined whether the difference in the selling price is and which method did that, had a higher selling price. You're going to then decide what you would sell this for. Okay. Now, as long as your answer is not less than what the math tells you to charge for this menu, then as long as you can justify why you would charge that amount of money, you could stick with one of the dollar amounts that the math provides, or the math calculates. Or you can say, you know what, the math says that I should sell it for $21, but I really think that my market, my customers with that price value relationship, I think they would pay $35 for this menu. Okay. And so that's pretty much what you're going to do, those reflection questions at the end. So it kind of goes through the whole process of what you're going to do, start from the raw ingredients, cost out all your recipes, and then determine what you're going to sell your price, your menu for. Okay. Questions, comments, concerns so far?
Um, can we do a barbecue theme?
So we're all going to use the same recipes.
Okay, my bad.
No,
Sorry.
you're good. And that's a good question. In the past, I have had the project where students did their own recipes, their own menus. Um, and I had you turn them in at the week right before final exams. Um, but what I found was a lot of the students were not calculating things correctly. So then that threw things off, and then I gave them a low grade for their project at the end of the semester. And so, based on the feedback that students have given me from those end of semester course evaluations, I kept seeing that people were not happy with their final project grades. And
Maybe it
so,
was just a little too advanced.
what's that?
Maybe it was just a little too
Yeah,
advanced.
so this class, I'm really introducing the topic. You're going to, if you're a culinary arts or a restaurant major, you're going to use this same project, the same concept in your RSTO 2405 class, where you will create your own menu and cost everything out. Yeah, so this is more of just an introduction to this process. And so what I have done in addition to that to help students be more successful along the way is I've built in checkpoints along the way. So let's take a look at our module to begin with. In the menu set 2, we have all of the recipes that you are going to be utilizing. Okay. So all your recipes are located here in this menu set 2. If you have taken Chef 1300, some of these recipes may look familiar. We have kind of pick and chose from different menus and sets in the past to develop it for the new format where we're only doing a 3-course meal. So this is a 4-course meal menu set. Okay. Then you have the Chef Tech inventory list. In the Chef Tech inventory list, okay, this is where all of the prices that I have found for the ingredients that I've used for the quizzes that you're going to complete. Okay, this is really important. This is one way I kind of standardized the menu costing because students were getting numbers that were way off base in their projects, and so this is a way for me to build in those checkpoints along the way. So this is where you'll find anything, all the ingredients. I'd say all. I would say about 90% of the ingredients from your recipes. This is where you're going to find it, and I'll show you where to find the other 10%.
And
Okay.
these are all like commercial bulk prices, right?
Yes, this Chef Tech inventory list is what I get from St. Philip's based on the prices that they paid.
Okay.
Now, granted,
Maybe
these are 2020 prices. I haven't updated my pricing for 2026, but these are all my quizzes are based on these prices.
just add $5 to everything.
Yeah. So when you're using this particular tool to help you find the ingredients, they are organized by category. Okay, so you'll see produce right here. Then you scroll down a little bit and you'll see herbs. Okay. Um, the best way to locate something on here is to use the Control F function. Or if you were using a map, I think it's the Command F button. Okay. So Command F or Control F, this little box pops up here in the top corner, right? You all see that? Eduardo, give me an ingredient that we might use in the kitchen. Oh, salt. So if I type in the word salt, this tells me that salt appears 6 times in this entire document. Okay. So I just hit enter, or I can use the down arrow. It'll take me to the next time. Okay. So this Control F function, this works on any website. Usually it works on any PDF that you have. So this is how I got through grad school, reading 20-page articles relatively quickly because I could use the Control F, find that section, and read that section of that particular area. So Control F is a very easy, a very good tool to know. Now,
Thank
when we
you.
are doing this, you have to understand that when you're doing Control F, it is looking for exactly how that is spelled. So if you misspell it, it's not going to pop up. Okay. So I typed in chili. There's 6 times that chili is on here. Okay. But in reality, I think there's one that we're looking for that's like chili. No, it is chili powder. That's right. The chili powder on the recipe is spelled with an I at the end, but here on the form, it's actually spelled with an E on the end. So sometimes you have to use a little bit of critical thinking and find out what maybe something is misspelled. Okay. The other option that you can do is you can also download this. So if you wanted to work offline, so you don't have to be connected to the Wi-Fi or the internet. If you download this Excel spreadsheet, when doing this, you'll notice that all of the areas are done by tabs, different spreadsheets within the workbook. Okay. So if I'm looking for salt, I can do the Control F as well. And I'm looking for salt, and it says there's nothing that you're looking for because salt is not on this one. Salt is on the spices. Okay. So to fix that, what you can do is go to options and you want to search within the workbook. And in doing this, it's going to take you to all of those areas. So maybe we have lettuce. It automatically bumps you around all the different tabs when you do search within the workbook, not the sheet. Okay. So those are your 2 different ways that you can search in your Shepard inventory list. All right. The next one, I'm going to come down here to the semester project notes.
Where is the chef inventory list again?
All of this is in your project module.
Okay.
The semester project notes, this is where you're going to find information if for some reason the ingredient was not in the Chef Tech inventory list, if I had to go somewhere else to find the cost of an ingredient, or if I have any kind of insight on how to convert ingredients. Okay. They are organized by recipe. Again, you can use that Control F, and let's say I'm looking for the sour cream potatoes. I can go directly to that recipe by doing the Control F without having to scroll down until I find it. Okay. So this is where you'll find that information for the different ingredients that are not on the Chef Tech inventory list, or if they are not on, or if there's like a weird kind of conversion for that, if they're not on the conversion website. Okay. Volume to weight conversions. All right, so this is a website that I have found that allows students to convert from volume to weight. Okay, so what are some examples of volume measurements?
Cup,
Cup, what else?
pint, quart,
What's smaller than a cup?
oh, uh, teaspoon.
Teaspoon and tablespoon.
Yeah.
Okay, there's just a B in there. Tablespoon. Okay, teaspoon, tablespoon, cup, quart, pint. Those are all volume. Now, weight is what? Ounces,
Grams, pounds.
grams. We don't really use grams in this recipe or this project. That's okay, but pounds as well. So ounces and pounds are going to be your primary weight measurement. Okay. Now, if we buy flour by the pound, we buy flour in a 50-pound bag, right? If our measuring says 13 cups, that's a volume, right? So we have to convert from volume to weight in order to get that done. And so we come up here to use this website. Kenneth, how many cups of flour are we using?
For what specifically?
Any recipe, think about any recipe that you might have done in the past. How many cups of flour did you use?
20 ounces.
Okay, cups.
Oh,
That's okay.
2 1/4.
2 1/4. Okay,
No,
cool. We'll start with 2 1/4. So you'll notice I had to put 2.25, right? Because this isn't going to let me put in 2 1/4, right? I have to convert that 1/4 to a decimal. Do we ever have some weird fractions in our measurements?
yes.
Like what?
Sometimes it might be a third of a cup. Sometimes it might be half of a teaspoon.
Okay. And sometimes we have like 5/8 of something, right? What is the decimal? What is 5/8 as a decimal?
16. Oh,
What?
5/8.
Yeah. 5/8 is a decimal. Anybody have any ideas?
Like 0.588 or something like that.
0.625.
65. Okay.
If you have a fraction, just put it into your calculator. 5 divided by 8, and that's my decimal,
Yeah, I was
right?
trying to.
Just like if I did 1 divided by 4 is 0.25, whatever your fraction is, put it into the calculator. It'll give you the decimal so you can put it in here, okay? Uh, so let's go 2.25. Now, when every time you tab out or go over to a different field, the screen's going to kind of like flash for a second. It's basically resetting itself. Okay. So we're going to go with 2 1/4 cups. And now we're looking for flour. Okay. Are we looking for arrowroot flour? No. So that's the first error that a lot of students make when they're first starting using this tool is they just hit enter 2.25 cups of flour and they use that first example. But really what we need to do is we need to click and you're going to see there's all these different types of flour. So we're going to come down here, we're going to do white flour, all purpose enriched unbleached. So once I select that, it's going to tell me that 2.25 cups of flour is 9.92 ounces or 0.62 pounds. Okay. One thing to keep in mind is that you really want to have this precision to be set to 2. If you have it set to 1, it's only going to give you 1 decimal place. Okay, that's going to throw your numbers off. So putting it at precision number 2 is going to make it just a little bit more accurate. Okay. The first time you go to this website and you put precision 2, it should keep it at precision 2 after you have gone through there. Okay. Um, Ray, give me another example of an ingredient that we use in the kitchen. Dry
Vanilla,
ingredient.
a dry ingredient. Baking powder.
Okay.
or soda.
Okay. We'll use baking powder. And do we use baking powder usually in like what kind of measurements?
Teaspoon.
Like a teaspoon.
Teaspoons. Okay, good. So, um, Amaya, give me a how many teaspoons of baking powder are we measuring? Two and a half. Okay, so 2.5 teaspoons of baking powder weighs 0.23 of an ounce or 0.01 pound. Okay. Again, if we had precision one, it would say 0 for the pound. Okay. But the reason why we want to have that precision two is because it allows us, if we purchase the baking powder by the pound, then we're going to use this 0.1 pound to convert these 2.5 teaspoons to. Because otherwise, if we use the ounces, we have to convert the price per pound into the cost per ounce. That's more math, right? We want to do as little math as possible. Okay. Let's do one more. Let's do 2 tablespoons of vanilla.
That's a lot of vanilla.
It is. Vanilla extract. Here we go. So it tells me that vanilla extract, 2 tablespoons of vanilla extract is 0.92 of an ounce or 0.06 of a pound. Okay.
Does the artificial weigh different?
I don't know. Let's check it out. No, it's about this. It's the same. That's a good question. All right. So, but how much is how much is 2 tablespoons of vanilla?
Ounce.
It's 1 ounce, right? It's 1 ounce of volume. And I use this example for a very specific reason. If it is a liquid ingredient, do I need to convert volume to weight? No, because that's a volume. It's liquid is a volume. So if I know that 1 tablespoon is half of a fluid ounce, if I have a liquid, then I know that 2 tablespoons of that liquid is 1 ounce. Okay. I wanted to share that with you before I went over this next little step. Yes, go ahead.
What about things like saturated fats where they're technically liquid, technically solid? What
Yeah, so it all depends on how you I think how you buy it, right? And so if you buy it by weight, then you should convert that volume to a weight. So for example, there's honey in your project. We buy honey by the pound, and so 1 cup of honey does not weigh 8 ounces. So we want to know what the cost is. Since you buy it by the pound, we have to figure out what the weight of that cup is in order to figure out what the cost is. Good question. All right. So here is another document that I will print out for those of you who are in class on Wednesday. Okay. For you to have, if you are online, if you want to, you can print it out. Or I can print out extra copies. You can swing by my office and pick it up. This essentially right here, this QR code will take you to the volume to weight measurement website. So if you are, let's say you're working on your phone, like you work on your computer for your project, or maybe you're just working on your phone for your project, you can scan the QR code, it'll take you to that website. Okay. This is that AP to recipe that we've already kind of gone over a little bit. So we'll introduce that more with the project. This is what I really want to focus on right here. So this is a new outline that I created, and I would love your feedback on this. If it helped you with the project, if it didn't help you, if it was too confusing, or how how I can better edit this to help you all as students get through the project. But essentially, you start right here. You're comparing the AP recipe units. Okay, so let me do an example. AP to recipe, 50 pounds of flour. Actually, let me do this. Hold on. I'll show you exactly how I would set up my project. I would put flour first. That's the ingredient. 50 pounds. And let's say it's $25 for 50 pounds. And I need 2 cups. Okay. So I start right here. This is my starting line. And I follow the arrow and I ask myself, do my units match? Are they the same?
No.
No. So I come down here to no. I'm going to convert to the same units. That's the step I have to do. So looking at my measurements in volume or weight. So is the AP in volume or weight? It's in weight,
Weight
right? Pounds is in weight, and then the recipe is in
volume.
volume. So I've got volume to weight. I have to convert. Yes.
So for the menu set, unless it explicitly is a weight-based unit like an ounce, we're gonna assume it's just volumetric for everything.
As long as it's a dry ingredient, yes.
Okay.
If it's a liquid ingredient, then you'll have that. You'll know that it's you'll know that it's a volume to volume. Okay. So I've got my volume to weight, so I'm going to use the conversion website. And then once I once I change this 2 cups of flour to, let's go back and double check what that is. Two cups of flour. So in this case, I'm going to use, since my AP is already in pounds, I'm going to use the 0.55 pounds right here. Okay. So now I change this to 0.55 pounds. Okay. Now my units match, right? So I follow along the arrow and I have to reduce the AP cost to 1 unit. And so I take $25 divided by 50 pounds is equal to what? What's that?
Half.
0.5.
Oh, 50 cents per pound. And so now I multiply the recipe unit cost, which is this 50 cents per pound, times the 0.55 pounds, and that's my cost of my ingredient. Okay? Moving through this. I'll do another example.
That's a good graphic.
Excellent. All right, let me use green so it's a different color. Okay, let's go with Kenneth's idea of volume. Okay, so my vanilla extract is 32 ounces, and I pay let's say I pay $99 for 32 ounces. Okay, and then my recipe is I need what?
Ounce.
Three tablespoons?
1.5 ounces.
Okay. So we'll start with 3 tablespoons first. Okay. So now we go through, we compare our recipe units, ounces and tablespoons. Are they the same? No.
No.
So we have to convert to get to the same units. In this case, it's volume to volume, right? So if it's volume to volume, we use this arrow, and we're going to use that known conversion. So just like Kenneth just said, 1 tablespoon is half of an ounce, right? So what's 3 tablespoons? 1.5 ounces. That is a known conversion. Well, it should be a known conversion from basic food prep. Okay. So that's 1.5 ounces now to the same. And so I follow my arrow back up to this box, reduce the cost to 1 ounce, 1 unit, cost per ounce. We multiply by the amount we need, and that's the cost of our ingredient. Okay, so we're just moving through this chart however we need to.
We're only using fluid ounces, right?
Well, so we might use ounces as far as weight, right? So if we chose a different, let's do one more example.
So we're using both kinds of ounces. Okay, cool.
Yeah. So let's say we use that same 3 tablespoons. Okay. But in this case, we're using what? What's a dry ingredient, Eduardo? Baking soda. Okay. So we're using baking soda, 3 tablespoons of baking soda. Um, let's just do it the right way. And let's look at our project. We want Chef Tech inventory. I'm gonna do Control F. Now, typically when you have 2-word items, pick one of the words. Baking powder. You don't have baking soda on this list.
Huh.
All right. So we're going with baking powder just to make this one easy. Baking powder. Okay.
We
So
pick the
baking
aluminum
powder
free one.
is $9.82 for 5 pounds. Okay. So now let's go back to here. We're going to compare our units. So pounds and tablespoons, are they the same? No. Convert to the same units. Okay. So we have weight and we have volume. So we're using weight to volume. We're going to use the conversion website. So when we go to our conversion website, we're going to get a lot more practice with this on Wednesday when we actually do the recipes. Baking powder. I need to update this to 3 tablespoons. All right. Oops, not baking powder, baking powder. There we go. I don't need biscuits. I want baking powder. Let's select this one right here. Baking powder, double acting. Now, which one of these am I going to use? The 1.46 ounces or the 0.09 pounds? What do you think?
1.46.
0.09 pounds
Why 0.09 pounds?
because the baking powder is already in pounds.
Exactly. Our baking powder is already in pounds. And so we're going to change this one to 0.09 pounds. That's why I like to do this AP to recipe visual. A lot of times students don't, they opt not to do the visual AP to recipe, and then they get to that point and they always forget which one to go with. So I always like to do that visual just to help me make sure I'm right on the right track. So now, once I've done that, I have to reduce the AP cost to the 1 unit. So I had to do $9.82 divided by 5 pounds will give me the cost of 1 pound, which then I can multiply to get my answer. Okay. Let's do one last one. All right, AP to recipe. Let's say I have $25 for 50 pounds of flour, and I need 3 pounds of flour. So I compare my AP and recipe units, pounds, pounds. Are they the same?
Yes.
Yes. So we go directly here, reduce the cost to 1 pound, one cost of 1 unit. So that's going to be $25 divided by 50 pounds. We know from our previous example is 0.5 pounds. or 50 cents per pound, I should say, sorry, 50 cents per pound. And then I multiply by the 3 that I need for $1.50. Okay, so I reduce the cost and then I multiply the recipe unit cost, which is the 50 cents, times the amount needed. Okay? So lots of different directions and ways you can utilize this. This document, if you download it, you're welcome to download it, print it out if you want to. But it is right here in the AP to recipe updated 2024. So that is something that I updated. This is actually the first semester that I've remembered to talk about this, to be honest. So y'all are the first group that's actually using this chart. So like I said, I would appreciate any feedback on that as you go through the project. Okay. The RSTO worksheet, this is the worksheet that you are going to turn in all of your recipes on. Okay. Your recipes, and we're going to go through one of your project recipes on Wednesday, so you'll get practice utilizing the sheet. But basically, every recipe is going to have its own sheet, okay? And then that's what you'll put together to turn in as your final project. Your final project will be turned in online, so you're not printing anything out for your final project to turn in physically. For my class, it's all 100% online, so you just gather it all together in one Word document and submit that. All right. That is pretty much all that I want to go over for right now. As far as an introduction to the project. So yes, Kenneth, what's your question?
So the recipes we're turning in are the 5 pages of the menu set. Every recipe in there.
Every recipe on the menu set, yes. And a good way to know what those recipes are. That's a great question, Kenneth. Thank you for reminding me. So in the quizzes on Canvas, on your quizzes, anything that has menu set 2 in front of it is a quiz that is part of your project. Okay. And so we will do the rub together as a class on Wednesday. But let me give you just a kind of a preview of what the quiz looks like. So you're going to do the information on the page, and all your stuff will be typed. Okay. And then when you come to take the quiz, you're basically going to put the cost of each of the ingredients in your quiz here. The last 4 questions of every quiz are the same questions, okay? Different numbers, different information, but the same question. It's going to ask you for the subtotal. It's going to ask you for the 5% Q factor. And then you add those two together to get your total recipe cost. And then it's going to ask you what your portion cost is. So all of our recipes are set to 32 portions, okay? We'll go over this in more detail on Wednesday. This is just an introduction. Okay, so those last 4 questions are the exact same questions on all of your quizzes. Subtotal, Q factor, total, portion cost. So if you were to look at any one of the quizzes, all right, menu set 2 is worth 8 points. The last 4 are those questions, which means there's 4 ingredients in the rub recipe. Okay, if you look at the raspberry sauce, same thing. Pepper, rosemary, cheese bread. 13 minus 4, which is those last 4 questions. Then the remaining ingredients is the 9 ingredients in the recipe. Okay, so it kind of gives you an idea of how extensive that recipe is based on just subtract 4, and that will tell you how many ingredients are in that recipe. Okay, now what I have done, hold that question just for a second. I don't want to forget this thought. What I have done is, if you come right here to the syllabus in Canvas, it will show you when your recipes are due. Okay? Show you when those recipes are due. So if you want to work ahead, I did not do the recipes in the order on the menu set. I did them based on, I tried to space them out based on some really challenging ones, easy ones to start, and then challenging ones towards the end. Okay. Um, but with this will tell you when those recipes are due. Okay. Then that allows you, if you want to work ahead, you can start working, but I would work on the ones that are due next, not necessarily going down the order of the menu set. Yes, kind of.
So for recipes that have subcomponents, is each subcomponent counted as its own page?
The best thing to do is follow the title of the quiz, right? So I think there's one where there's fillings and garnishes under the dessert. That right there is its own. If you come down here, you'll see filling and garnish. There's also the shortbread cookies. That's also like the main component of the dessert. Okay.
And for components that are to taste, how's that going to be costed?
It's a great question. Based on the information that I've shared with you today, what area might you look for information about ingredients that are to taste? In the semester project, in the notes. If you go to that semester project notes page, you'll look at the recipe, and then what I would recommend is as you get ready to do your homework on a specific recipe, is check the semester project notes first, because that's going to give you indication on specific ingredients that I may have given you information on. And to answer your question, to taste, on some of the recipes, to taste is just 1 penny.
Okay.
Yeah. So this is where you're going to find that information because there are
That's
almost
funny.
50.
Taste costs a penny.
Yeah, almost 50 or so. 50, I'm almost 60 students, I would say, probably between all three of my classes of this, all three sections of this class. So it's really hard for me to answer that same question 60 times. So that's where this semester project notes, the idea for the semester project notes came about, was to be able to give you a central area of knowledge and information. If by chance you find something that's not on here that you still have a question about, please let me know. And if it's not there, then I can add it. So that way I can make sure that the future students will have that opportunity. All right. So questions, comments, concerns so far? Any other questions, comments, concerns about the project? What I would like is that you complete the project quizzes, the project prep quiz 1 and 2 before you come to class on Wednesday. Okay. So I'm going to make them due on the 18th at 2 o'clock. So that way you kind of at least have gone through that information and prepared your mindset for the class on the 18th. Oops.
I think having assignments due at class time is a good idea.
As opposed to what?
As opposed to 8 a.m.
Okay. I'll take that
I
into
don't know.
consideration.
It's just me.
All right. So the project prep quizzes 1 and 2 are there. One thing that I will let you know is that on all of your project quizzes, all of the recipe quizzes, you'll notice there are 99 attempts on all of your recipe quizzes. Okay. The reason why I do that is, and I'm going to demonstrate this on Wednesday, but the reason why I do 99 attempts on all your quizzes, because I want you to cost out the whole recipe. Okay. And then you can go back and focus on just the ingredients you got wrong. And then once you get those correct, then you can go back and answer the questions 100% to get 100% on the quiz. Okay. Some of the biggest things that students forget is that rounding that we talked about, rounding up to the nearest penny. That sometimes will throw off the answers. Okay. Using those conversions. People get really, and I'm guilty of this. When I first created this project and these quizzes, there was about 5 examples of times where it said tablespoons, and I just converted that to 1 ounce in my head without doing the website. And so that's why I developed that AP to recipe to help me better understand what what type of ingredient that is and what kind of measurement it is. Okay. So work on those 2 quizzes for me. And that's all I have for today. We're gonna go over those on Wednesday. We'll cost out recipes. And then the last piece of information that I will remind you as we go through is once we finish the textbook, okay, once we finish chapter 10 of the textbook, the remainder of the class times will be spent on project work days. Okay. So as soon as we finish chapter 10, we'll go right into a project workday model. And what that means is just like now, you can log in online or you can come in person. Okay. If you have the recipes done, everybody has to log in for attendance. If you have the recipes done for that week, then you can log off. You don't have to stay online or you don't have to come into class. Okay. If you're in class and you have the recipes done, you can head out. Okay. If you don't have the recipes done that are due that week, then you have to sit in class or sit online and work on those assignments. And then if you have any questions, I can answer them right then and there during class time. Okay. Because if you're like me, Mr. Uminsky says today's independent study, you can work on your project. And what that translates to me is I get an extra hour and 15 minutes to sleep, to take a nap in the afternoon because I don't have to go to class. I don't have to go to school. I don't have to log in. So I'll work on the project later. So just to prevent you from being like me and procrastinating, we're going to have that structured project work days. Again, you don't have to come into class. You can log in on Zoom, but as soon as attendance is done, I will check to see who has turned in the project recipes that are due that week. And if you have, you're good to log off or leave. If you haven't, then you're in class until 3:15. Questions, comments, concerns?
No, sir.
One final announcement is next week on Monday, we will not have class. Okay. I just found out about a really important training over at the district office. And I just found out about it on Friday, actually, when I went over there for a different training. And the training is 1 to 4 o'clock. So it's right during our class time. So we will not have class on the 23rd, but we will have class on the 25th. Okay.
Have fun.
So I will see you all on Wednesday, the 18th. We'll go over the project, and then I'll see you the following Wednesday on the 25th. All right. Thank you all so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Can't wait to post it in the wheel and merge.